Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 24th of August. So, we've got 2 days of the Jackson Hole Symposium starting as of today, probably about midday-ish. I'm not too clear or too sure exactly when people will start speaking to the press, but the scheduled periods are really for tomorrow for Janet Yellen to speak at 5 p.m. and President Draghi speaking at 8 p.m. That's UK time. Now, in between then, I'm sure we will get comments coming from the symposium, and we'll probably get some volatility in the markets. Question, of course, they're both expected to talk about quantitative easing and the winding down of quantitative easing, and does Draghi really want this euro to continue pushing up a lot stronger? Will he disappoint the market a little bit just to put a hold onto this, or just reduce it, drop it back a little, or will we see a sort of a proper statement made which suggests that they're going to start unwinding? We'll see. But we've also got, of course, Janet Yellen speak first, and perhaps Draghi may say something different once he's heard Janet speak. But she could disappoint first, or maybe be hawkish, which would do the job for the euro anyway. However, let's just look on a day-to-day basis. Let's just expect volatility over the next couple of days as the UK's second estimate on the GDP coming out this morning at 9:30, so we may get a bit of volatility around that, although they generally come out in line. We've got US unemployment claims, just a weekly figure at 130. It's nothing, and then, as I say, we're really open to whatever happens, and comments coming from Jackson Hole. Right. So the technicals of this euro dollar is just really chopped, and then it's moved up a little bit and chopped, and it's currently just retracing into the yesterday's range, just short of the daily pivot there. Yeah, now if it breaks the trend here, I could be tempted to, on the longer side, to see if we can get a continuation through yesterday's highs, maybe up to the R1. If it rolls over, well, it's a bit indecisive then. If it starts rolling over, well, breaking through that 34, well, maybe looking forward to the 200, the daily S1, maybe even the previous day's lows, but quite wary of such moves anyway. I think the market will just continue chopping, so it may be range bound, and watching the ranges as opposed to maybe the pivots in this particular occasion. Okay, looking then at the pound here. Pound continues selling off against the US dollar, and obviously, I say obviously, but and also the softening against the euro. Not quite the 8-year lows that was mentioned on the news last night. That was discussed on the news. I'm not too sure what charts they're looking at, but it's certainly not 8-year lows quite yet against the euro on the charts I'm looking at. Anyway, it's not even it's just about a full year low. No, not even a year low. So what they're looking at, I'm not too sure. Perhaps they're just going down to the local currency exchange and see what they can get for their pound. Anyway, coming back to the pound, let's put that. It certainly is on the lower side, actually, just looking at that monthly figure, and it's selling off against the dollar again quite strongly at the moment, or has been. Breaking out of that expanding wedge I was talking about yesterday, day before. The moment, well, it's holding its own. There's a bit of divergence on the 4-hourlies here. And maybe this bullish engulfing green lovely bar may hold, but if it can break back up and start pushing up beyond the daily pivot, it has just nibbled into its daily pivot, maybe we can see it push back towards the 50 and the yesterday's highs there. Maybe it's arguably a bit oversold. Obviously, we've got the GDP data coming out this morning, which may, as I say, may give it a bit of a move. Moving on to the dollar yen. Dollar yen again is another one of these ones that's been in a bit of a chop at this week. It looks good part of the day on the Friday, and then Monday rallied, Tuesday down, Wednesday down. I beg your pardon, get my days wrong way around, and currently rallying again at the moment. And well, we may see a push through here, but it's a bit doing it all on its own at the moment. Again, against the other markets, actually euro has come off, so it's probably about right. Actually, beg your pardon. So where to from here? Well, we'll be seeing if it breaks the daily pivot there. If it starts pushing above the 34, maybe it'll be a bit more bullish towards the R1. Maybe looking across the ranges, the prior highs and lows here, that 200 may be even a better sort of target to the upside if it pushes that way. If it fails and starts rolling back at some point this morning, as I speak, it's sort of pushing up to the R1 all on its own. But if it starts rolling over here this morning, maybe a breakdown to yesterday's, again back to yesterday's lows, that monthly S1. Or maybe the previous lows here would be a reasonable target, and the daily S1. Okay, Aussie dollar. Aussie sold off this morning, and it's again it's a bit of a sell-off at the moment. It's certainly down on where it is. There was no particular news that's driven this, but certainly become a bit the weaker one. Lower highs, lower lows across the time frames. It's just not managed to. Even yesterday, it didn't really manage anything really very strong to get back to its daily pivot, and sold off quite strongly at this point here. So maybe we're seeing dollar strength coming through most of these markets, and this is no exception. It's broken its near-term trend line here, and run through some key levels. Need to almost come back here and see what else is left. Well, not a lot really. It really is. It's almost down to its S2. Maybe that weekly pivot below the S2 weekly pivot may be a possibility. Okay, sorry, S1 rather. Oh, no, it's a MIDI, beg your pardon. It's just a MIDI, not too bad at all. Okay, and finally, the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar's died on us, really. It's talk about chop. It's short-term chop, and it's not really done too much. You see it from this daily. The range this week has been pretty thin, which is going to make next week's weekly pivots a bit useless, probably. Consolidated over the last few hours here, just having a little shove up at the moment towards its daily pivot. Ranges are tight. If it starts breaking through a daily pivot, if I was trading it looking long side, I would only ever try and with this. I still would be a bit wary as it comes back to those prior highs. Maybe the R1 there would be a sensible target intraday. Of course, at some point it may move and may switch around from where it is at the moment. It's not been a lot of clues in it. It was diverging late last week. It started this week off okay, but then putting up a secondary divergence move, I guess. But then it's a third. But it's just not hanging on, holding on. It's just pushing down each time. Just looking at oil whilst I talk about this, oil's just held up reasonably well and pushed up a bit yesterday. They're just holding up at the moment, so it's part of the reason why the Canadian dollar may be holding up a bit better than some of the others. Anyway, lots of data. I say lots of data, lots of uncertainty over the next day or two as we've got the speakers coming. So have a great one. Bye for now.